In this video, we are going to build a sleek iPhone style calculator using just HTML, CSS and JavaScript. It's a perfect project to practice your front-end skills, and by the end, you have a fully working calculator you can use and customize. Let's jump right in. So now, in my code editor, I've created the file calculator.html, style.css and script.js. So these are the files that I need for this project. So now to start my project now, I'm just going to press this shortcut on my keyboard, and then I'll have this my HTML boilerplate or HTML template. So the title, I'll change it to calculator. So I'm going to change this title to calculator. Then I'll link my style.css. So link CSS, so style.css, and inside my body tag, I'm going to link my script. Then script source is going to be script.js. So with that, I'm going to close this and save that. So to confirm this, if I press Ctrl click, I'm going to be linked to my style.css file, and if I press my Ctrl and click, I'm going to link to my script.js. So therefore, I've linked all my files. So let's get started with the code now. So here in my body, I'm going to have my main tag, so main.calculator, and inside I'm going to have div.status notch, and then I'm going to have the div.display for my display, and inside my display I'm going to have a value, the value div.value, and I'm going to give it id of value as well. So then inside this, let's just give it like 0, like that. So then I'm going to come out of this my display, so I have my div.keys like this. Then I'll give it an id, so the id itself is going to be keys, and inside inside this my div tag, I'm going to have my first row, so let's call it row 1. So now we want to make this exactly like our iPhone calculator, so I have my button, so let's give it a class name. So the class is going to be btn function like this, and I'm going to give it an attribute, so data action. The data action is going to be, this one is clear, so for the AC, so yeah, let's give it AC inside. Then I'm going to copy this, so paste it here, so paste it 4 times as well. So then the next one is going to be sign. So this one is, I'm going to use an HTML attribute, HTML plus minus. So this is going to give me this plus or minus sign that we have here. Then the next one is going to be percentage. So here I'm just going to input my percentage symbol here. Then the next one is going to be here, the data action here is going to be an operator, and then I'm going to give it another HTML attribute, data up, which is going to be plus like this, divide. And here we're going to give it I'll say and divide, so to give me this division symbol that is going to be here soon. So with that, if I refresh this, I have the, so now let's change this one. Since it's an operator, I'm going to change the class name like btn up. So now we are done with the first row, so I'll just come down here and come to my second row, so I'll say row 2. So in this my row 2 now, we are going to have a button as well. We are going to have a button. We are going to give it a class name, so the class is btn number. So since this is number, and the data digits, now we are going to give it like an HTML attribute. We call this one data digits. So here the first digit is 7, and here I'll pass in 7. So let's copy this. Let me copy it very well. I'll copy this and paste like this. So the second digit 8, the third one 9, and here too I'll have 8, and I'll also have 9. Now the next button that I want to paste here is an operator, so I'll say operator like this, and here I'll have data action instead of data digits. I'll say data action, which is going to be an operator, and we're going to give it data up like this, which is going to be the multiply. Let's give it like this. Now to get our multiplication symbol, I'm just going to use this and times like this. So with that, I will have my multiplication symbol as you can see here. Now for my third row, so let's just copy this, all what we have here. I'll copy it and paste it here, and let's edit this. Is going to be row 3. Then here data digit is going to be 4, 5 and 6, sorry, and 6. So here too should be 4, 5 and 6. Now here data, this one is an operator, but here is not going to be our multiplication, it's going to be our minus. And here to get our minus sign, I'll just say and minus, sorry, and minus like this, and then save it. So let me remove this last symbol that is there. So I'll copy this again. So let me copy it again and paste it for our row 4. So copy, and then row 4, let's say this is going to be the row 4, and here we are going to have 1, 2, 3. So let's edit it here too, and here 1 as well. So now this place is going to be another data operator, but instead of minus we are going to have our plus sign. So let's input our plus sign, and here to get our plus I'll just say and plus like that. So let me remove this, so and save this. So then we are done. So then I'll copy this again for my row 5 and paste it down for my row 5. So here this my row 5. I don't actually need to use the, okay, no, let me remove everything we have here first and edit this to be row 5 like that. Then sorry, so here let me change it to row 5, and I don't need everything I have here. So now this one is, we are going to give it another class name. I'm going to say btn 0 0 because it's going to be different from others. So here is 0, and also here will be 0. Then the next one, we are going to have another button. So let's give it a class name. So this class is going to be, okay, btn number like what we have before. Then let's give it a data action, which is going to be, this one is our decimal, so decimal, and then it's going to be okay, that's all. So here I'll put my decimal point there. Now the next one, the next button that we need is our equal to sign. So I'm just going to say button. So let's give it a class name. It's going to be btn operator, btn up like this. Then data action is going to be equals like that, and then we are going to give it I think that's all. So let's put our equal to sign. Then we are done with our HTML boilerplate. So let's start with our styling now in CSS. So before we go into our styling, let's just have this footer down here. So I'm going to say div.footer like this, and inside the footer we are going to have, like, I want to show, because we can also use our keyboard. I want to make it that we can use our keyboard. So I'll say keyboard 0 to 9, then comma. So our plus sign, I'll say and plus like this, sorry, then comma, let me just give and minus, and times, and also and divide like this. So after that I'm going to give it a comma. So I'll give a comma here, and I'll press enter, then backspace. I'm going to explain this later in our JavaScript, then escape like that. So with that I'm done. So this is just that I wanted that if you use our keyboard, if you press plus on your keyboard, minus, times, divide, enter, backspace and escape, they're also going to work even if you don't use all these keys. So let's go straight into our styling. I'm now in my style.css. so here root, I want to set up some roots. So first let's give btn number just to set some color. So this btn number, the color should be, okay, first before btn number let's give a background. So the color is going to be hashtag 000 like this, 3 zeros actually. Then for text, the color is going to be hashtag fff like this. Then btn number, the color is going to be hashtag 505050 like that. And then I'm going to have another one, it's going to be btn function, then our color for that one is going to be A5, 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 like that. Then the next one for the operator, btn up, like this, btn up. Then our color for that is going to be hashtag ff9f0a, like that. Then I'll save it, that orange color. Then for if the operator is active, like this, then we are going to have this color hashtag ffd9a1, like that. And then we are going to also have for the shadow, we want to have like btn shadow, like to give a shadow color. Then the color here is going to be RGBA, so 0, 0, 0, 0.35. So I'll save this. So then after that, I'll come out of here. So get to set our box size. I'll say box sizing is going to be box sizing is going to be border box. And then I'll get my HTML tag, HTML and my body tag, and inside set my margin to be 0, and my background is going to be this variable, and I'll give it this bg, the name of our background. Then after that, I'm going to set my color. Let's set our color. Then it's going to be variable, and then this the text color that we set up there, text, like that. Then our display is going to be grid. Display should be grid, and want to place items center, like that. And after that, we need to set our font family. So I'll say font family is going to be this Apple, this Apple UI. Yes, exactly. Then I'm going to save this, since we are trying to make an iPhone calculator. Then coming out of here, so getting my calculator, the calculator tag, that is the main tag. So then the width, we are going to set it to minimum of like 420 pixel and 92 viewport width. Then after that, I'm going to set my padding, which is going to be not my padding, right? So just my padding is going to be 18 pixels, 16 pixel and 24 pixels. Then border radius is going to be 40 pixels. And then we are going to give background, which is going to be a linear gradient, although it's going to be a dark color. So linear gradient 180 degree. Then we are going to have this color hashtag 111 at 0%, and then hashtag 000 at 100%, like that. So then the next thing we want to do is our box shadow. So our box shadow, we are going to set it to 0, 20 pixel, 50 pixel, and then we are going to get this variable, then give it our btn shadow, like that. So with that, let's set our position. The position should be relative. So with that, I think we are done for the calculator. Then I'll go to my status notch. So status notch. So here, content, let's just set our content is going to be an empty string, like that. And then position should be absolute. Then we are going to set inset to be 10 pixel, 0, auto and 0, like that. And then our height should be 10 pixels, and display should be flex. Then I'm going to justify content center, and pointer event, let's set our pointer event to be none. So then the next thing, let me copy this. Content is not supposed to be, I'll cut it from here. Then I'll get my status notch and before, like this. So then inside we are going to have this our content. Then let's set the width to be 38%. Then our padding height here should be 10 pixels, and then we are going to have the background, which is going, not background color actually, so it's just background, is going to be hashtag 0d0d0d. Then we are going to give a border radius of 0 0 16 pixel and 16 pixels, like that. Then a box shadow of 0 2 pixel 6 pixel RGBA 00, 0.6, and let's pass in insert again. So with that, I think we are done for that. Then let's get our display. So in this my display, I'm going to have my mean height, which is going to be 110 pixels, and then display should be flex, and then I'm going to have align items, it's going to be flex end, from the end of the flex. Then justify content is going to be flex end as well. Then after that, I'll set my padding. So the padding is going to be 10 pixel 12 pixel, and then margin top is going to be 32 pixels, and margin bottom is going to be 12 pixels. Then I'm going to have font weight of 600, and also letter spacing of 1 pixel. Then user select is, let's set that to none. User select should be none. Then after that, I'm going to get the display and the value of the display. So display again, comma value. So then here the font size should be 64 pixels, and then I'm going to have my line height to be 1, and also overflow should be hidden. Then I'm going to have text overflow should be ellipsis, like that, and then max width should be 100%, and also white space should be no wrap, like that. Then after that, let's get our keys. I think our display value is okay, see the way it is. Then let's get our keys. Now for my keys, so I'll say dot keys, and here display should be grid, display grid, and then grid template columns. Now this is very important, so I'm going to say repeat. So now I'm going to have 4 columns with equal spacing. So 1 FR means equal, it should be equal length, equal spacing between them, and this 4 means 4 column. And you see we already have this column like this. So look at the way we arrange it, AC plus minus percentage, our division sign, and everything is already looking good. Then let's give the gap, they are like together, let's give the gap of like 12 pixels. Then I'll save this. So then let's get each button. So now button, let's give it an appearance should be none. Then let's give it a border of 0, and also the cursor should be pointer. Then we are going to give a color of hashtag FFF, and then we are also going to give a font size of 30 pixels, and then we are also going to give a font weight of 500, and width should be 100%. Width should be 100%. Then we are going to give aspect ratio of 1:1. Then the next thing is our border radius, which is going to be 999 pixels, like this. I'll save this, so it should be perfectly round. Then display also should be grid, and we should place items center. Then let's give the box shadow, which is going to be 0 6 pixel 14 pixel. Then let's get our variable btn shadow, the shadow box shadow color. Then the next thing we want to give is a transition. So I'll give a transition, then its transform, which is going to be 0.05 seconds ease, and then filter, that one is going to be 0.15 seconds ease, and then background is going to be 0.2 seconds ease, like this. Then after that, okay, main one, let's give color also, which is also going to be 0.2 seconds ease as well. So after that, I'm going to have user select should be set to none. So I'll save this. Then the next thing, let's get when the button is active. So button active, button active. So transform is going to be scale. We are going to scale it, so we are going to increase it to like 0.98. It should be bigger. Then after that, let's give it a filter, which is going to be, we are going to increase the brightness by 1.115. then that's for the active. Now let's get the btn number, those number button. So this one, we are just going to change the background. So the background is going to be this color, our btn number, like this. So they should change, they've already changed, as you can see. Then the next one, for the function, btn function, like this. So the background also will be var btn function, like that, as you can see. Then we are going to give it a color. So the color should be #000, and then we are going to give a font weight of 700. So now for our operator btn up, so inside we are going to have our background as well, so which is going to be var then btn up, like that. So with that, as you can see, so everything is working. It's already looking like an iPhone calculator. Then for the zero, for that is this 0, so I'm just going to say .btn 0. So here now, grid column, want to increase it, it should take like 2 column. So I'll say grid column, then span should be 2. So with this, so don't worry, I'm going to rearrange it. Let's say aspect ratio is going to be auto, then exactly. So with this now, this 0 is already taking like 2 colon. Now let's make this text to the left hand side, to the flex start. So I'm just going to say height should be 64 pixels. Then let's give it a border radius of 40 pixels. And then I'm going to also give it justify content. So I'll say flex start. Now then the next thing, okay, let's give the padding left of about 26 pixels. So I'm going to save this. It's already making sense. So the next thing we want to do is let's get our active, our up active. So when the operator is active, we want to change the background color. I'll explain this later. This is for our JavaScript. So when you click this active, these are operators here. So when you click them, I want to change their color to be like white. So I'm going to say var the variable, then text. So then let's give it a color. The color should be var, then it's going to be btn up, like this. Then after that, let's give it when the button is focus. So when the focus is visible, so btn focus visible, like this. Then I want to outline, change the outline to be 3 pixels solid, #FFF3, like that. And then just give it outline offset to be 2 pixels, like that. Then now we are done with that. Let's just get our footer. So in my footer, first margin top should be 14 pixels, and then opacity should be 0.5, and also font size should be 12 pixels, and then text align center. So with this we are done with this. So now the next thing we want to work on now is our JavaScript, so which is the main focus of this video. So let's work on this functionality of this calculator now. So now I'm going to go back to my scripts.js, and inside I'm going to open and close this bracket and write my function inside. So this function is going to be run immediately we run the server, or we run our HTML code. So this function, and I'll call the function here. So then the next thing I want to do now is like getting our display. So I'll create a variable for our display. So display is equal to documents dot get elements by ID, which is going to be display. Then I'll save this. Now the next one is going to be the keys. So const keys is equal to document dot get element by ID, and also this will be the keys. Now with that, now the next thing we want to do is I want to store for the memory of the calculator. I'm going to create a state for that. So I'll say const state which is going to be an object. Now the first one, the display value. So the display value should be 0. Note, it should be string 0. I'll explain that later. 0. Now the next thing is the first operand. Now this first operand is the first number you type, so it should be null first. Now the second one is the operator. Operator is our plus, minus, or times, any operation. So that one too should be null at first. Now waiting for second operand, this is just like a flag telling you telling the calculator to know when to wait for the second operand. So that is the second number, second operand. So I'm going to set it to false initially. Sorry, why am I using this semicolon? It should be comma. Then the last operator should also be null, and then last operand should be null as well. So this is the initial state of the calculator. So with that, I'll go now. Sorry, please, this should be colon, not equal to. Then I'll save this. Then the next thing is that I want to write a function to update our display. Now I'll say function update display like this, and inside first let's get the value. So the val, let's say const val is going to be, from now I'll get state dot display value. Now I'll come here and say state dot display value, that is our val. Now the next thing I want to set a max length. Now max length is equal to 9, and I'll save this. So now what I want to do is that the maximum number you can press on our calculator should be 9. So after 9, after you have like 9 numbers displayed there, it will change it to exponential, like 1, something like let's say 1 plus 2e minus e3 4, something like this. So anytime you have more than 9 numbers, to change to exponential number. So now how do we do that? So I'm going to write a condition. The first condition is if, note, this is going to be a regular expression. If you are not familiar with regular expression, you can learn more about it after this video. You can make research on it. So now what I'm going to do now is that I'll write this like, now what does this mean? I'm coming dot test value. So dot test val like this. Now this is a regular expression. So what I'm trying to say is that in this variable that I have here, I'm going to check if there is e inside, and this I means lowercase or uppercase. So if there is e inside this variable, or if this variable dot replace, now I want to replace the the dash inside this with an like empty string, or we are okay, let me get the length as well, dot length Now I'm trying to check, so let me remove this dot length initial, sorry. So I'll remove this dot length first. So now dot, want to replace again, replace something there again. So want to replace, if we have like a full stop or a decimal point, want to replace it with just like empty string. So now I want to check the length. So if the length is less than or equal to the max length, then we should update the display. So the display value will now be display value dot text content, sorry, the display dot text content is going to be equal to val, like this. So what have we done here? Actually, what we did, that we are testing if the number is in like a scientific notation, or if the number is less than the maximum length. So if it is like that, it should just update, update the display value. It should give us this value that we have there. But else, now what we want to do now is else, that means if the number is not in scientific notation. So I'm going to convert, I'll say const num is going to, we are going to convert the data type of the number. So this number is like number data type, which is the value, what we input, the display value. Then we are going to update the display. So display dot text content is going to be, now we want to convert it to exponential value. Now I'll say num dot to exponential. Now to exponential, I want to get which is going to be 6 number, and we are going to replace the addition sign to just an empty string, like that. Don't worry, I'm going to show you this in proper when we are testing this our update display. So let me go over it again. So here we are testing if the number is in scientific notation, or if the number displayed on our display value is less than the maximum length, ignoring if we have like what's it called, if we have like a negative sign, or if we have a decimal point. So we are just looking at the number. So if it is less than 9, then you should just display the content, the value that we have in our display value. Else, we are converting this value to a number data type, and then we are converting it to exponential number, like scientific notation. So now the next thing we want to do is, after that, I'm going to come out of this our update display function. Now the next function is that I want to talk about is set AC label. So I'll say function set AC label. Oh, I on my, so, and then I'll pass in a parameter as text, like this, and this inside, what we have inside this function is that. So now what am I going to do? First, create a variable. Now inside this variable const AC, we are going to use document dot query selector. Now what are we getting? Don't forget the data action. I want to get the query selector. What am I looking for? This data action, where is it? For AC, yes, this one, data action clear. So I can just copy this, let me copy it and come here. So inside there, I will just paste it inside like this. So that is what, but I'll put it inside this square bracket, like that. So with this, and remove, let's change this to a single colon, so it's not, and I'll save this. So now here I'm going to say if AC, then what should happen? I'm going to update the text content. So AC dot text content is now going to be the parameter we pass in there, txt. So that's just all. So if the parameter here is C, so AC will change to C, like that, the text content. So now the next function we want to write is our clear up highlight. So function, I'm going to call this clear up highlight, like this, and inside is going to be, now the first thing we want to get our document.query selector. So document.query selector, but since there are more than one, I'm going to collect everything that has the data action operator. So let's go and get that. So here, if all these things that has this data action operator, there are plenty, so that's why I'm using query selector. so I'll paste it inside here. And don't forget to try to change the way we write the string, this colon that we have here. So now the next thing I will now do is that for each dot, remove this. So for each of them, what I want to do, I want to write an inline function, an arrow function. So btn, we are going to set it to, we are going to get the btn dot class list, and then we are going to remove the class list of the up active, like this, up active. So there is one, this one is for clearing the up active, and then I'm going to save this like that. What does this mean? So this one now, let's say this is what's it called, this one that has this. So whenever we clear up active, we are going to remove this class name up active. But now let's write a function for adding highlights, for setting active operator. So here I'm going to say function, I'll say set active operator, and then passing a parameter up like that. Now the first thing first, I'll call this function that I have here clear up highlight. So I'm going to say clear up highlight, so you should clear any active operator first. Then I'm going to call a variable const btn, which is going to be document dot query selector. Now what I want to do, so I want to get, so this one I want to write a condition here. So look at this symbol that I put there. So first I want to get the data action, then I want to get if the data action is operator, like this, operator. Then inside I want to get also the data up. You know, we have another attribute, data up. So if the data up now is equal to this, so this dollar sign is just for me to write what's it called, a condition there. So here I'll now say css dot escape, the escape. Now what are we escaping? Which is the what we pass in there, our parameter up, like that. So at the end of that, I'm just going to save this and then come back in. I'll now say if btn, if we have this function or variable btn, then I'll say btn dot class list dot add up active, this class name that we have there. So what do we have here actually? You know, we have our data action operator. Now this data up now, if I come back to this my HTML, we have different data up. For example, we have this division, we have star, we have multiplication, minus, and addition as well. So this one is getting all the one that has data up, and this condition is just to check the operator that will pass in as the parameter here. And if you check it, so if that operator exists, or if that button exists, so it's going to add the class name up active. So this one is to add active to add the up active. And this up active here, if you come to this our style.css, we define this up active here. So we are just going to change the background color to white and the text color to like orange. So for example, if I click this multiplication here, the background color is going to change to white and this text color is going to change to orange, just to show you that this is the active operator. So we are done with that now. Don't worry, we are going to test everything soon. So now the next thing we want to work on is, now let's work on our input function, the input digits function. So I'm coming here, I'll write a function input digits, and passing a parameter d like this. Then inside I'm going to check if waiting for second operand is true. So I'll say if state dot waiting for second operand, that means if it is true, I'm going to update the display value, that state dot display value to be equal to the parameter you input d, like this. Now after that, I'll set state dot waiting for second operand to be state dot waiting for second operand to be false, like that. Now the next thing I want to do is, now else, so if this waiting for second operand is false, what do you want to do? So let's update our display value. So state dot display value should now be equal to, now I want to write a condition. So if state dot display value is equal to if it is 0 like this, then our display value should be D. That means your input digit, this parameter that you have here. But else, now what do you want to do? I'll say state dot display value, I'm going to append this D plus D. So that is one useful advantage of using string. That's why we are using string. So now if the display value is 0, then your parameter should be D, like what you input. So if it is 0 like this, if you input 5 here, it will be 5. But else, if it is not 0, for example, if it is like 6, so then we want to append D. That means we want to add what you add there. For example, if you say 7, if this digit here is 7, if you press 8, it will be 78. Note, it is not going to be 7 plus 8 but 78, because we are using string. That is why we are using string, not number data type. So that is that. So now after that, I'm going to clear up highlight. I'm going to call this function to clear up highlight, and also we are going to set our AC label to we are going to set it to C like this, and then we are also going to update display. Don't forget that we must always update our display and save this. Now let's test this. How can we do that? So I'm going to use Windows event listener for the key pressed. So let's do that now. Now to test that, I'm going to come here. So I'll say keys. Don't forget, I'll say keys dot add event listener. Now what are we listening to? Click. Anytime it is click, then we are going to have an arrow function here, which is going to be, we'll pass in the parameter E. So, and it's going to be something like this. Then inside, sorry, let me change this. So now inside this key dot event list, now what I want to get, I'm going to create a variable. I'll call it T. Now this is going to get target dot closest like this, and then what are we getting, which is the button tags. Now the next thing is that if T does not exist, then we are going to break the code here. So I'll say return. Now the next thing is that now if T dot dataset dot digit, don't forget we give this digit is gotten from what we have here, this data dot digits that we have here. So if T dot dataset dot digit, then I'm going to call the input digit function and pass in what we click, the T dot dataset dot digit like this. Note that if our here, if it is like data here, this button now, the data set digit is 7. So when you click 7, it's going to pass in this 7 to the input digit function. Here, if it is 8, it's going to pass in 8. So let's test it if it works. So if I click on 7, let me refresh this. I click on 8, 7, okay. So now don't forget to return your function here. So let's return this function here. Now aside from that, since I'm clicking it, this AC label is set to C. Do you see that that is working? But our update display, our display is not working. So let me just check let me inspect this page, and whenever I click, let me see if I can, sorry, if I can arrange my, so anytime I click, let me click a number, you see I'm having this uncut type error that you cannot set properties of null text content. So it's getting null. So let's try to check that type error. So now I'm very sure that our JS code is very correct. So let me quickly check my HTML. Oh, see the display here. The ID that I give here is value, and look at the ID we are using here. We are using display. So I will just update this my display, and I'll change this ID to display here. Then save this, and our page is already loading. So when I press, you see, anytime I press a number, our input digit function is currently working. So that is that. So now let's work on our next thing. And you see, anytime I press a number above 9 characters, it's going to change it to this exponential, and it will remove the plus sign and just write it like this. So let me refresh this. Let's test that. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. My next character now, it will change it to exponential, as you can see. So that is working. Let's work on our next thing. So now let's work on our decimal. You know, when we click decimal now, it's not working. So to do that, I'm just going to copy this same function that I have here and I'll paste it here. So let's update this. It's going to be input decimal, like input decimal, decimal function. We don't need to pass in a parameter, so it's going to be just like this. So the same thing, if state is waiting for second operand, then the display value should be decimal like this. So if waiting for, it should be 0 points, not decimal. So it's going to be like 0 points. That means if you are waiting for second operand, and states does, we are not going to set this second operand to false here, but else, now I'm going to remove this. So if it's not waiting for second operand, so we are just going to update this. So I'm going to say plus equal to, we are going to increment it and add this decimal point like that. So no matter what we have there, if you have, like, if it is 2 that is there, 3 that is there, we are just going to implement it and add this decimal point. But if state the waiting for second operand is true, we are just going to add 0 points. So now the next thing is that there's no need to clear up our light, so I'll remove this. But in the same way, I'm going to set AC label to C, and I'm going to update my display. Now how can I do this? So to test this, I'm going to write a function here too in our keys.add events list. So to do that, I'm going to come right here after this function that we have here. So now this one, since we are going to have, apart from decimal point, I'm still going to do for these operators, I'm still going to do for this percentage, division, multiplication, and so on. So to do that, I'm going to use switch cases. But first, I'm going to get the action. So const, I'll create a new variable, const action, and it's going to be t.dataset.action. Don't forget our data set action. We are not getting digits now. I want to get this action. So since it's not digits, so now if I come back here, then I'm going to use my switch. So I'll say switch statement, then case. We are switching between case. Then the first value is going to be decimal. If it is decimal like this, let me use small letter. If it is decimal, then we are going to decimal, let me spell it well. So decimal, then we are going to, what's it called, we're going to call the decimal input decimal function. So I'll say input decimal like this, and don't forget the break tag right there. No, we are switching between action rather, so switch action like that. And then anytime we have if the case is decimal, then we are going to input decimal. So that is that. I'm going to save this now to just show you what is happening here. So we have this variable action, and we are switching in this action statement that we have here, this variable that we have. Now we are not saying if the action is decimal, now we are going to call the input decimal function, this function that we have there, and then break it. Now where is this action? How do we know it's decimal? If you come to this calculator.html, and if you see this our decimal, you see our data action here is what? Decimal. So whenever you click this, it's going to call this input decimal function. So let's try it. So you see now 0, if I click my decimal point, it changes to 0 points, and I can put 0.8 and so on. So if let me refresh this, and let's say I have 1 and I put points, you see everything is working as it should. So that is that. Now let's work on the next thing. So now let's work on this toggle sign that we have here, this plus minus that we have here. So I'm going to write a new function. So function, I'll call it toggle sign, and then inside we are going to have, so the first thing I want to check, so if state.displayValue, is equal to 0 like this, then the function should break. So we don't want, nothing should run after, because you cannot have plus 0 or minus 0, you know. So now then if state dot display value, okay, I didn't write this one, display. So if state dot display value here, display value is now equal to, now if state dot display value is not equal to 0 now, so I'm going to change this to string, our number string to, what's it called, our display value to string data type. Then after that I'm going to wrap it in number data type again, the negative number data type, and then state, I'll update the state dot display value like this. So now what did we do? The first thing is that we get the number data type, the display value change to number data type, then we'll add this our negative sign, and then change everything to string, since it's string that we are passing in our display value actually. So now after that, what we just need to do is update our display. So I'm just going to call update display like that. So now what do we need to do? So here I'm going to have another case here. First, let me check my, where is this, my toggle sign. Okay, you see the data action here is signed, right? So here the same way, if you have gotten the gist, now I'm going to copy this and then let me paste it here. So now here the case is going to be signed like this, and then I'm going to call the toggle sign function, toggle sign function like this, and save this. Let me put this break and save this like this. Then if I come here refreshing this, let me have 2. You see I'm having -2 plus, okay, we have not worked on that. So this toggle sign is already working. Refresh it, and if you have 0 and you press the toggle sign, it's not going to do anything. But anytime you have a number and you press the toggle sign, it's going to add this negative to that. So now that is that. So now let's work on the next function that I want to work on, which is going to be our percent function, this percentage. So let's work on that. So here I'll write another function and I'll call it percent like this. Don't forget. Now inside, first I'm going to create a variable for the current number. So the current number is that we are going to change our display value to the number data type, and I'll say state dot display value like this. Now the next thing I want to do now is that I want to check. So if state dot first operand, that means the first number, is not equal to null like this, and we have state dot operator, and we are not waiting for the second operand, state dot waiting for second operand. So what do we have here? So now I'm saying, let me come here so you can see if I can adjust this a little bit. So now what do we have? If state dot waiting for second operand is not equal to null, that means not null, and we have state dot operator, and also we are not waiting for the last operand. So what should happen then? So then after that I'm going to say, then we are going to now say, we are going to update this current that we have here, current number type. Then we're going to say current equal to state dot the first operand, the first number that you input, times the current number divided by 100. Don't forget that percentage means divided by 100. So now the current number is your state dot display value here, which you have changed to this number data type. So now if all these conditions are met, we are going to update this current value, this current that we have here, that means, which is going to be the state dot first operand, your number that you enter, times the current value divided by 100. So if you have 2 here and you press percentage, is going to be 2 divided by 100. If you have 3 here, it's going to be 3 divided by 100. So that is that. So now after that, what else do we need to do? So then I'm going to say else if those conditions are not met. So we are just going to say current, for example, if you don't have first operand, if you don't have anything, so we are just going to get the current value divided by 100 like that. Then After that, don't forget we are going to update our display. So I'll say state dot display value is going to be equal to string. Don't forget what we are displaying is actually string. So string, change the current to string, and then update our display. Update display like that. So now if that what this means is that if we don't have first operand, if first operand is not equal to null, for example, after you have, let's say there's a 3 here and you have 2 here. So now anytime you click 2%, it's going to be 3 times 2%. But else, if you don't have any first operand, then if first operand is equal to null, actually, so it's only the number you have here. For example, if you have 5 here and you click percentage, it's just going to be 5%. Don't worry, we are going to test it soon. So with this now, to test it, I'm going to come to this key.hard events list now. Then we are going to have another case actually. So let me paste it here and save this. So now let's check the new case for the percent. So now here we are getting the percentage, Abby. So I will say percent like this and call the percentage function that we did. So I'm just going to percent like this, then save this. Refreshing this. So now anytime we have like 5, the display value is 5 Habi, and I click percentage 0.05. For example, but if I have 5 and 2 percentage, we're having 0.52 like that. So everything is working. This percentage is currently working. So now let's work on our next thing now. We have worked on this, we have worked on this, we have worked on this. So let's work on our AC for this clear now. So I'll write a function. So I'll call this function is going to be clear all like this, and then I'll pass in a parameter which is going to be set to true initially. Then inside, first our state.display value is going to be 0 like this. Then after that, now I want to check if full, that means if full is true actually. Then what do we want to do? State.first operand should be set to null. Everything, we want to clear everything. State.operator will also be null, and waiting for second operand. No, this one is a boolean value. Waiting for second operand will be set to false, and then the next one, state.last operator, is also going to be set to false. Is going to be set to null rather, and also state.last operand is all going to be set to null like this. Then the next one, after we have set everything to null, we're also going to clear the up highlights. That means the one that is highlighted, we're going to clear it. And also after that, don't forget to set AC label back to AC. That means you have cleared everything, we're going to set it back to AC, and then we are also going to update display like this. So now if function is going to true, we are going to set display value to 0, and we are going to set everything here to null. So how can we do that now? So to test it here, I'm going to have a new case here. So let's copy this. So now I'll paste it right here. Now what is the case now for the clear? So when the data action is clear, so if I come back here, when the case is clear like this, clear, now I'll call this my clear all function, but there's going to be a condition for it. What is that condition? The condition is, so now I'm going to say if display dot text content is not equal to 0. Now if display dot text content is not equal to 0, then we are going to say clear all. We are going to call that clear all function, but now instead of true, it will be false. That will be here, and this will be false rather, sorry, false like this. Now else, so I'll come out of here. So else clear all, I'll call the clear all function, it will now be true. So I'll explain this later. So this is mimicking the way iPhone calculator works. So if our display dot, if you have like a lot of numbers here, So here now, display.text content is not 0. So when I click on clear all, it's false. It will clear it, but it saves that number. For example, you just like make it that, for example, if you make a mistake when you have like a different calculator and you just make a mistake and you just like clear, so now yeah, it clears everything, but the clear all is equal to false. That means everything that is here is still storing everything that is here, like first operand, operator, waiting for second operand, last operator. But when you now clear, when it is now 0 and you click AC, so now clear all is true. It's going to clear everything. Don't worry, you are going to get it very soon when we work on the next part of this. So just stay with me. So now the next thing we want to work on is our calculation function. So let me just comment it here. So I'll call it calculations function like this. So now how are we going to do that? So now I'll write a function which is, let's say, calculate. Then I'll pass in 3 parameters: the a, the first number, our operator, I'll call it up, and b, like that. So now here, sorry, so if I come here, so what we are going to use is that, okay, first we have to change this a is a string actually, so we change it to the number data type. So I'll say number a like this, I'll update a like that, and b is going to be number, change the data type to b like that. So now with that, I want to use the switch statement. Now we are switching what? So now what are we switching actually? Let me write the switch statement. So the switch statement, what are we switching? We are switching between our operators. So now the first operator is that when we have the first cases, when we have addition plus like this, so what are we going to return? We are going to return a plus b like this. So let me save this. So now the second case, let's say we have minus, so we are going to return a minus b like this, and don't forget your break tag, so you have to break it. So now that is that. So now the next one is let's say our multiplication. So case, don't forget in JavaScript our multiplication is using this asterisk sign. So now, and I'll say return a times b like this, and save. Don't forget to break this anytime after your case, you have to break it. Then that is that. So the next one is division. So when the case is now division, we are going to say we are going to return a divided by b like this, and don't forget to add your break tag as well. Then I'll save this. So now the next one is, okay, now in this division now, it's not just going to be a divided by b directly now. So I'm going to say, let me remove, I will explain this later. Okay, I'll say a condition: if b is equal to 0, then we are going to have this not a number, like this, else we are going to have a divided by b. You know that in your calculator, your normal calculator, 0 divided by any number is impossible. So if your first number is 0, or no, if your last number, for example, say 5 divided by 0, is impossible. So that is why we are saying not a number, else you should do a divided by b. But if 0 divided by 5, any other thing is possible. So anytime your second operator, your last operand is 0, then it will give you this not a number like this. Impossible, that error. This is a JavaScript error. So now the next thing we want to work on is, okay, we have our default break. So now after everything, we are going to return, in this default, we are just going to return our last operand like this. Then I will break it. So that is that. So now to test this calculation function, so let's just write our undo operator function. So I'll just say function, I'll say undo operator. So operator, what is our operator? Our operators are this division, multiplication, minus, plus, and plus that we have this. So now undo operator. So now I'll pass in a parameter, I'll call it next operator. Then, so these are function, right? So that the first thing is that a variable const input value, I'll call it input value. Const input value, which is going to be change it to the number data type. and inside we are going to have our state.display value, like that. So now that is the input value, is our display value, what we displayed. Then now a conditional. So if we have operator state.operator and we are waiting for the second operand, so state.waiting for second operand. So what are we going to do? So I'm going to update the operator. I'll say state.operator is equal to what? The next operator, this parameter that we have here. So the next operator, we are going to update it to this. So then after that, I'm going to set active operator, this function. That means if that is that, we are going to set the active operator, and I'll pass in this parameter here, next operator that we have here. So now this set active operator, don't forget we wrote a function for it up here, set active operator. Let me see. Oh, okay, yes, look at it here, set active operator. What is it going to do? It's just going to add this class name to it, this up active class name, and I've explained it in the style.css. What it's just going to do, when you click, if this is the active operator now, it's going to change it to what's it called, it's going to change the background color to white and the text color to orange. So that's just what that is doing. So if I come back here, where is it, where are we? Okay, yeah, we are here currently. So if I come back here, let me cut this function before, everything should be before the, what's it called, it should be before the let me see, where is it? So everything here should be before our event listener. So let's paste it here. It doesn't really matter, the other does not matter, but I just want to show that the event listener is the last thing that we are supposed to do. So let me save this, so everything is done. So now what are we working on? Okay, so now if we have state.operator and we are waiting for second operand, we are going to update the operator to the next operator here, the parameter that we have here, and we are going to set active operator to the next operator, the parameter the operator that is clicked, that means the sign that is clicked. Then after that, what are we going to do? So we are going to break the function here. So I'll just put my return statement, so it should not continue, the process should stop here. Now that is that. But if we have state.first operand is equal to null, like this, that means if we don't have our first operand, then I'll say we are going to update our first operand now, state.first operand to be input value, like that. Now else, what should we have? We are going to say, okay, let me have another condition here. I'll say else if there is state operator, like state.operator, if it exists, then we are now going to say, we are going to create another variable which is going to be the result, and it's going to be, we are now going to call this calculate function that we have here. Don't forget this calculate function. And what are we going to calculate? We are going to calculate the state.first operand, state.operator, and the input value. State.first operand, that is the first thing, your first number that input, that will be our a in this case, this a, that's our first operand. Then state.operator is going to be the operator, and then we are going to have the input value, which is our b, like that. So our input value is our b. Then after that, I'm going to say, let me come down here and come here. So then I'm going to say state.display value is going to be, we are going to change the result to string. Don't forget, so anytime we are displaying, what we are displaying should be always be string. And then I'm going to say state.first operand to be the result. State.first operand is now equal to results, and then update. I'm going to explain this code later. We are going to update our display, like that. Now after that, what are we going to do? Now what this means that, these are, we are mimicking iPhone calculator, the way it works actually. So now when you click 7 plus 8, you have 15, abi. So now this line here, this last line here, so 15 now will now be our next first operand. So if you now click plus, it will now be 15 plus 2, which is 17. Therefore 17 is now our what? First operand again. So the cycle continues like that. So now after that, I'm just going to come here and now say state dot operator to be the parameter next up. I'm going to update that in the switch statement soon. And then state dot waiting for second operand, we are going to set it to true. And then state dot last operator is going to be null, and state dot last operand is also going to be null. Then we are going to have we are now going to set active operator, which is going to be the next up like that. And after that, we are going to set AC label to C. So I'm going to set it to C like this. So now what do I need to do? I'll just come down here and let's copy one of these new cases now. Sorry, let me copy this, and I will come here, paste it, save it. Now this place, now the case here is now going to be, let us see, our data action, which is going to be operator like this. So I'll come here and I'll say instead of percentage, it's going to be operator, and instead of this percent like this, I'm going to call this undo next operator. So undo next operator. Okay, undo operator function. So and then I'm going to pass in a parameter here, which is going to be, so I'll pass in here. Now we are switching between operator, but now we know we are in this our next undo operator function. Where is it first? Okay, this undo operator function, we are passing in a parameter here, which is the next operator. So the next operator here, so here I have to pass in the argument here. So what will be the next operator? It's going to be, let me come to this HTML, it's going to be this data up. So if the next operator here, now the next operator will be multiplication, here the next operator will be minus, here the next operator will be plus. So how can I do that? So I'll just come here and I'll say, look at how do we get action. I'll say t.dataset.action abi, which is like action, this action here. So this one will be t.dataset.up. So I'll just pass it here. So in this and next operator, I'll say t.dataset.up and break it like this. So let's see if everything we are doing works well. So here, let me say 7 plus, it did not work. That means something is wrong. Let me save it again. 8 minus, if it works, it should change. Okay, wait first. Let me refresh this. Even our 8 is not, something is wrong. Something is definitely wrong. So let's check. The reason for that error is that when I copied this, we copied everything that we had under here and pasted it up here, but I made a mistake. So look at this, our the closing tags, the closing braces and the closing bracket for this event listener. Look at where it is. So that's why it's not working. So I'll just cut it and paste it here, save it, and this is my calculation functions. So let me put it up here so that I can know that it's for this calculation function, and save this. So with that, if I refresh this page, so now when I have 5, okay, it's already working. We set AC label to C. Do you notice it? I don't know if you guys notice this thing. So when I click 3, this changes, and if I click an operator, it sets active operator by changing the background color. So to know that this is active, when you press another number, it changes. So now if you press equal to, so now it has performed the function. Now what I just need to do is that anytime you click on equal to, I want it to give me the answer. So it should give us the answer. So let's work on this function of equals function. Let's work on that now. So let's start with our equals function now. So here I'm just going to say function, and it's going to be equals like this. Then inside we are going to have this. Then first, in the same way, I'll create a variable input value. So let input value, which is going to be number, change this data type of this display value, state dot display value to number. And then after that, I'm just going to say, now I'll check if state dot operator then is equal to null. Let's say if state.operator is equal to null like this, then what are we going to do? We are going to say if state.operator is null, then we are going to have another. If state.operator is equal to null, then I'm going to have another if statement. I'll now check that if state.last operator and state.last operand is not equal to null. Now the last operator and the last operand are after you have pressed your operator, like you say 2 plus 3 equal to 5, and you press another plus again, so that will be your last operator again. So if your last operator and your last operand is not equal to null, then I'm going to say const results is going to be calculate. I'll call this calculate function that we defined up there. So the first thing, input value, will be our a in this point and this point. Then the next one will be state.last operator, and state.last operand. So state.last operand, we are going to calculate this, and then after that we are now going to say I'm going to update my display value. So state.display value is going to be my string, change it to string, the data type to string, and it's going to be the results like that, this result that we just calculate there. Now the next thing we want to do after that is that I'll come out of this if statement still under this the general if. I'm now going to update my display and break the code here. So return the code there, carry out the return statement. So coming out of this if now, so now if another statement, now if state the waiting for second operand, if you are waiting for the second operand, then my input value, I'll update it to be state dot first operand like this. So if you are waiting for the second operand, so our input value is definitely our first operand. Then after that I'm going to create my variable result, which is going to be the same way, calculate. What are we going to calculate now? In this part now is going to be state dot first operand, state dot operator, and our input value like this. So then after that I'm going to now say I'll update my display. So state.display value is now going to be string again, which is our results. So with that, I think we are done for that. Then our state.first operand, we're now going to, what I explained before, state.first operand will now be my result if you are continuing to, if you want to continue to another operation. So, and I'll set state.waiting for second operand to be true like that. Then after that, now this one is just to save last operation for repeated equals. For example, if you say 2 plus 3 is equal to, so my last operation, my answer there is now my new first operand. So with that I can now say state dot last operator to be my state dot operator, and then I'm going to say state dot last operand to be my input value like this, and then state dot operator, we are going to set it to state dot operator is going to be set to null like this. So this part is just for our repeated equals. So let me just comment this part out. So I'll say save last operation for repeated equals like that. So with that, I think we are done for that. So after that, I'm just going to say what I'm going to clear up highlight. Anytime you, after you have carry your function, you should clear up highlight and also update the display like that, and I'll save this. So with that, to test this, I'll just create a new case here. So I'll copy this and paste this, save this. Then the case here is now going to be equals, I think so. Where is it? So the data action is equals, so I'll just change this here, the case here, to be equals, and here I'm going to call the equal function equals, like this, and save this. So if you save it, I will come here. If you now check it, let's try 5 plus, okay, let me clear this. So 5 plus 3 is 8. If I clear this, it will clear, it change it to 0, but it has not really cleared the memory. So to clear the memory, I'm going to press this AC again. So now I've cleared the memory. Now just look at what we have here. We say if display.text content is equal to 0, then clear all is not equal to 0, clear all should be false. But if it is 0, clear all to be true. So now when we just do like 7 plus 3, which is 10. So now when I clear it, it clears. It just, what you just did is that you update the text content to be 0, but it has not actually cleared the memory. So to clear the memory, I'll click my AC again, and if I do 8 minus 2, it's going to give me 6. How do we know when to use clear? Let me give you an example. Let's say we have something like 45 plus 32. Now I made a mistake. I'm not supposed to write 32, I'm supposed to write 35. So if I click on this clear, I can now write 35. So now it's just going, it has stored that 45, the first operator. So it's just going to add 45 plus 35, which is going to give me 80, instead of doing 45 plus 32. Let me give you another example. I have 2 times 3, right? But now I made a mistake. I'm not supposed to times it by 3. I'm supposed to times it by 4. So I'll just clear this 3 and then press 4. So now it's going to do 2 times 4, which is 8, as we can see. But now if I want to clear everything, so 8 plus 5, which is 13, but I want to clear everything, so I'll click on C to clear and click on AC again to clear everything. So now if I do 8, it's still going to give me 8, but if I do 8 plus 3, and it's going to compute it like that. So that's how that works now. Now let us handle our keyboard inputs. For example, if you come down here, you see I said keyboard, if you press 0 to 9 on your keyboard and you press plus, minus, enter, backspace, escape, we set a function to everything. So we can press 0 plus something on your keyboard and to display here. So how can we do that? So we are going to use Windows event listener again. So let me comment here. I'll say undo keyboard inputs, like that. Now what do I want to do? So I'll come down here. So window, notice what I did, window dot add event listener. So here I'm going to get key pressed, not key now, not click. So key press, like this, or no, and that word, it should be key down, not key press. So key down. So after add event listener key down, so what do you want to do? We are going to have an arrow function which will pass in e as a parameter. Then inside the arrow function, we are going to have this. First thing, I'll say const k, which is a variable. I'm going to get e, the event dot key that is pressed. Then after that, now I want to test something. So I'll say if I want to use a regular expression now, but now you remember what regular expression is. If you see any sign like this, this means that we are testing for a regular expression. But now since we are using digits, so I'll use this sign. This means that this is the beginning of my regular expression, and these are the digits that I want to use, 0 to 9, like this, and this sign means this is the end of the regular expression. So now what am I doing? I want to test for k, like this. I'm testing for k, the key that is pressed, like this. So if what I'm saying is that if 0 to 9, between this range, if 0 between 0 and 9 is in the key that is pressed, what should happen? So I will have this, that input digits, don't forget our input digits function, k. Now as I call this input digits function k and I return this and I save this like this, so to know that this will break here, let me skip this. So now what this does is that if we have this window.add event listener to listen to the key down, the key that you pressed, and we set this variable to the key that is pressed. So now we are now testing. This is a regular expression to test if 0 to 9 is in that key, is inside that key that you pressed. So therefore you should input that digit, the key that is pressed. And don't forget our input function up here. So input digits function is going to set the display value to the digit that you press there. So let's try it now. So what I want you to do is just save this, come to your browser, and on your browser, don't use your mouse, just press any key on your browser, like 9. Let me refresh this. So press something like 9. Okay, it's not working. Sorry, the reason why it's not working is because first, see, I'm supposed to write test, not, I didn't spell that right. And after that, come here and don't forget to update your display. So update display and then save this. So just save this, come to this browser and refresh it. So if you come here on your keyboard, just press any number. You see 8. I'm not using my mouse. 9, for everything is working. On key down is getting the number that we pressed, like that. So that is what that is that. So now the next thing we want to test for now is for this. I want to do for all these operators that we have here. So here I'm now going to say, now okay, let's do for decimal, and I say if k is equal to the decimal point. Now what are we going to do? So the same way, I'm going to call the input decimal like that, input decimal function, and break it, write your return statement, then save this. So now if I press 7, let me come here and I press, I'll come here, I press 6 points. You see the decimal point is working now. So now the next one that I want to work on is now for our plus, minus, times, and everything. So I'm just going to say if k is equal to plus, or k is equal to minus, or k is equal to times, multiplication like this, or k is equal to division like this, then I will call the undo operator function. So I'll just say undo operator and passing k as an argument here, and then don't forget your return statement, so it will stop there if that is the condition. So let's try it now. So 7, okay, sorry, if I come here, refresh this and come and say 7, write plus on your keyboard, maybe shift plus like this, you see 2 minus, minus, are you saying it, 3 times, I'm doing all these things on my keyboard, 1 divided by 4, are you seeing it? Everything is working on my keyboard. So now the next thing we want to do now is our enter. So now if you press enter or you press equal to, it should calculate the function. So I'm going to say if k is equal to enter like this, enter, or k is equal to equals to like this symbol, then what should happen? I'm going to first prevent default, e.prevent default, so that when you accidentally click it, it will not do anything. So then I'll not say, I'll call the equals function like this, and then don't forget our return statement, and save this. So let's try now. So if I come here, refresh this, and I say 7 plus 3, enter, you see it's giving me my answer. Or I clear everything and I say 2 times 5 and I press equal to, it's giving me, you can test all these things on your keyboard. So with keyboard we can still work with our calculator. So now the next function we want to work on is our escape function. So when you press escape, it should clear everything. So here I'm just going to come here, I'll say if k is equal to escape like this, then we are going to call the clear all and we set it to true, and then return statement like that. So save this. So now if I come here and I say 7 plus 3 equal to 10 times 2, I have 20. If I click on escape, everything has cleared off. And if I do 8 plus 3, it will give me my answer now. And I click escape, everything clears. So we are done with that. So now the next function we want to work on now is the percentage function. So I'll say if here I'll say if k is equal to this symbol percentage, so I'm just going to call the percent function percent, don't forget, and I'll call return statement return like that. So then let's try this now, let's test this here. So refresh it. I'll just say 5 and put this symbol of percentage 0.05. I press that percentage on my keyboard and I do 2% 0.02, so that is correct. So now the next thing we want to work on is the backspace. Now this backspace, we have to create a new function for that backspace separately, because that backspace too. So to do that, I'm just going to come here and I'll call the function backspace. Call the function backspace. Let me just do it here. So I'll say function, which is going to be backspace like this, because this one has a special function. We have to do it ourselves. So if waiting for second operand, then if you are waiting for the second operand, you should just break the code here. It should stop here. But if not, if the state dot display value is greater than 1, that means if you have dot length is greater than 1, therefore if you have the characters in the display value is greater than 1, then therefore we want to do something. I want to update our display value. So I'll say state dot display value will now be equal to state dot display value now I want to use a JavaScript method now, slice dot slice. So now I want to use slice starting from the beginning, 0 index, and we want to be removing -1 like this. So it's going to be, what this is going to do is that if you have a number 1 2 3 4, this is the 0 index, so it's going to be removing from this. If you click it, slice is going to, if I press slice of this, it's going to give me 1 2 3. If I say slice of -2, it's going to give me 1 2 like that. So I hope you get the gist. So if you have like 1 2 3 4 5 6 and you say slice of -1, from the back like this, it's going to remove one number and print like everything except that last number, like 1 2 3 4 5. So that is what that is doing. So let me remove that. So this is just for backspace. You know, when you are deleting something, you are deleting one by one from your right hand side. So that is that. So now I'll now say else. What are we going to do? I'll say state dot display value should be 0. Therefore if it's not greater than 1 and you are deleting, so everything will be 0. It will change everything to 0, and don't forget to update the display like this. So now what we want to do now is that I'll just come here, this down in this function, and now say if k is equal to backspace. So if k is equal to backspace like this, backspace, and then I'm just going to say here, I'll call the backspace function and return the function like that. So with this, I think we are done with the project. So let's test it. So now I come here, I say 8 5 1 2, just a series of number, and you start pressing backspace. Okay, let me save this and try to refresh this. Let me see if it's working. Let me see, 7 8 9, a lot of number, and I start pressing backspace. Okay, it's not working, something is wrong. Let me check. So if I come and see, if I come here, so in this space I just was waiting for second operand. This is not right. I'm supposed to like state dot, you know, everything is our state, we define the state. So I just say state dot waiting for second operand. So if I save this and come here, so let me write a bunch of numbers here, and I start pressing my backspace. Are you seeing it's deleting it from the back like this? So all our keyboard inputs are working. So with this, I think we are done with the project. So let's just quickly play around with our calculator, our iPhone clone calculator. So if I press 8 times 2 plus 3 minus 5, everything is working. I clear and clear 5 percentage, and I want to have negative number. If I press negative plus 2, it's given, everything is working well. And you can use your calculator, you can use your keyboard. 3 plus 5, enter, escape, everything is working well. So thank you for watching this video, and if you like this video, please, if you enjoyed this video, please like this video, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to this channel, and thank you as you do so. So thank you very much for watching.